Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV. I'm Preeti Shilshi, getting you all the day's top stories from India and across the world, starting with the headlines. President Pranab Mukherjee signs the ordinance on NEET, decision to keep state boards out of the entrance exam for medical courses for 1 year. The President heads to China for a 4-day visit, trip to focus on broadening relations between the two Asian economic giants. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends the swearing-in of Sarbanand Sonowal as the Chief Minister of Assam, thanks the people of the state for giving the mandate to the BJP. And at the World Humanitarian Summit, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sets a target of the year 2030 to reduce the number of internally displaced people by 50%. Our top story this evening, President Pranab Mukherjee today signed the ordinance on keeping states out of the ambit of a single all-India medical entrance test this year. This nod came after much deliberation with the Union Health Ministry on why the centre had chosen the ordinance route on this issue. The exemption to states, however, has been given only for this year. They will have to implement NEET from the next academic session.
Students of state boards will not have to sit for the National Eligibility Entrance Test, the common entrance test for medical courses, on the 24th of July. President Pranab Mukherjee on Tuesday signed the ordinance to keep states out of the ambit of NEET this year, overturning a Supreme Court verdict that directed all government colleges, deemed universities and private medical colleges to be covered under the single medical examination. The decision came a day after the President was briefed by Union Health Minister J.P. Nadda on why the Cabinet sought the ordinance route.
The state governments will get an opportunity to appear this year, that is for the 2016-17, for undergraduate examinations. But this year, December, the post-graduation examination will be held under NEET provisions. All private institutions and medical colleges will come under the ambit of NEET.
More than 15 states were opposed to NEET and had raised issues such as different syllabus and languages during a recent meeting of state health ministers. Representatives from as many as 18 states had met the Union Health Minister a week ago, seeking more time for the implementation of the uniform entrance exam.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के पश्चात बहुत से स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स ने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को अप्रोच किया और उन्होंने अपनी डिफिकल्टी के बारे में रखा, जिसको वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ठीक ढंग से नहीं रख पाए थे.
The President's nod to the ordinance has evoked mixed reactions.
छात्रों को इससे क्या नुकसान हो रहा है, किस तरह से प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेजेस उन छात्रों को वंचित रखते हैं जो वाकई इसके लायक हैं, इस और सरकार ने ध्यान नहीं दिया. वो केवल और केवल प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेजेस को फ़ायदा पहुंचाने के हिसाब से इस ऑर्डिनेंस को लेके आए हैं.
A government is not supposed to be an ordinance factory that produce one ordinance because you don't have any idea how to take everybody along in a time-bound manner.
This is just postponement of NEET for next year, but we want complete abolition of NEET.
Nearly 6.5 lakh students have already taken the medical entrance test in the first phase of NEET, which was held on the 1st of May. Now, with the ordinance promulgated, students of state boards are exempt from appearing for NEET Phase 2 on the 24th of July. They will, however, become part of the uniform entrance exam from the next academic session. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And President Pranab Mukherjee is now on a 4-day tour of China and started with a visit to Guangzhou province. In his meetings with Chinese leaders, he will be focusing on further broadening relations between the two Asian economic giants. This is the first visit by an Indian president since 2010, the last one being former President Pratibha Patil.
President Pranab Mukherjee's visit to China will begin with a trip to the industrial city of Guangzhou, the only Chinese province with an economy of over $1 trillion. Besides interacting with the Indian community, that includes nearly 3,000 businessmen there, he will also address the India-China Business Forum on Wednesday. Mukherjee arrives in Beijing on Wednesday, where the Chinese People's Friendship Association for Foreign Countries will host a reception. On Thursday, he will address a meeting at the Peking University. Bilateral talks will follow with his counterpart Xi Jinping, Premier Li Keqiang, and other top leaders. The president is expected to raise China's attempt to block a UN ban on Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar. The talks will also feature China's insistence on building a consensus on India's admission into the nuclear suppliers group. This comes just days after Beijing backed Pakistan's claim to join the 48-member group. President Mukherjee was invited by Chinese President Xi Jinping. Accompanying him are Union Minister Santosh Gangwar, a delegation of academicians including vice-chancellors of 2 central universities and heads of IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now turning focus to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's just concluded Iran visit. It will be remembered most for the historic Chabahar Pact signed between India, Iran and Afghanistan. Modi's visit to the country was the first by an Indian leader in 15 years and was significant as Iran is an important partner in terms of energy security. India also currently imports close to 12 million tons of crude oil from Iran.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi returned home after completing a successful 2-day visit to Iran. During the visit, the two sides signed 12 agreements in various areas. The most important of these was the contract on Chabahar port. India has promised an investment of $500 million into developing the crucial port that will be the gateway leading to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Afghanistan joined India and Iran in signing the pact.
Today, we are all witnessing creation of history, not just for the people of our 3 countries, but for the entire region.
I thank them because they believe that Afghanistan is going to be stable and they're wagering on our stability, not on our destruction.
The agreement on Chabahar is being seen as a counterbalancing effort against China's growing influence in the region through Pakistan. Chabahar is located near the Iran-Pakistan border, a little over 60 miles from the Pakistani port of Gadar that is being developed by the Chinese.
تصمیم امروز و توافق امروز بر علیه هیچ کشوری نخواهد بود و اونچه فعالیت 3 کشور هست به نفع کل منطقه.
Before leaving Iran, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated an international conference on India and Iran, 2 great civilizations, retrospect and prospects, and released a Persian manuscript, a collection of translated tales from native Indian literature. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Former Union Minister and BJP leader Sarbanand Sonowal today took oath as the new Chief Minister of Assam. Governor B.B. Acharya administered him the oath of office and secrecy at a mammoth function that took place in Guwahati. Many state cabinet ministers, including Himanta Biswa Sarma, were also sworn in today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the function along with a host of dignitaries who included diplomats from the SAARC countries and chief ministers of BJP-ruled states and union ministers. Former Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi was also among the guests on the dais, as were NDA Chief Ministers Prakash Singh Badal, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Vasundhara Raje and N. Chandrababu Naidu.
मुझे विश्वास है कि हमेशा प्रसन्न चित्त रहने वाले सर्बानंद जी असम के सर्बानंद के लिए कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ेंगे, पूरी मेहनत और लगन के साथ असम के भाग्य को बदलने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करेंगे.
Well, the new BJP-led government in Assam does face many challenges, including the decades-long problem of illegal migration of Bangladeshis. But it will be tested most on what steps it takes to stop human trafficking. Assam, along with 4 other states, including West Bengal, accounts for as much as 97% of girl-child trafficking in the country. And this was one issue on which all political parties promised action during the elections.
The girls continue to disappear from Assam, leaving behind helpless parents who often don't know how or when their daughters went missing.
एक लड़का आया था और बोले काम ले जाएगा बोले तेजपुर काम शाम करके आएगा बोले थोड़ा दिन थकेगा और उसका बाद में आएगा बोल तो अभी तो 1 साल हो गया लड़की पता उतना नहीं मिलता है हम तो गरीब दुखिया मानुष टाका पैसा नहीं है हम इतना दूर रास्ता कहाँ जाएगा हम उसको खोजने के लिए
3 साल हो गया सर 3 साल से धरो 1 महीना जैसा हो गया अभी तो।
कैसे हुआ था, क्या हुआ था?
पता नहीं, वो तो चला गया, हमको तो मालूम नहीं था। हम तो अपना ड्यूटी चला जाता है।
सप्ताह में लगभग हम लोग 5 लड़की पकड़ने का कोशिश करता है और कभी कभी पकड़ने में सक्सेस हो जाता है। कल भी ऐसे एक केस हम लोग का लड़का लोग पकड़ा, लगभग वहाँ पे 7 लड़की था जो कोई बदमाश एजेंट है वो लेके जा रहा था। वो एक लड़का यूपी का ही लड़का था, वो लेके जा रहा था, तो पकड़ के हम लोग उसको फिर वापस घर भेज दिया।
The plight of Geeta and Jyoti's parents is shared by hundreds of poor families who work in the tea gardens of Assam. The state CID claims that as many as 4,754 boys and girls have been trafficked out of the state. Unfortunately, no FIRs are filed. The traffickers prey on people displaced by the ethnic violence and the recurrent floods in the state. The problem is the most acute in tea plantation areas that are found in almost 24 of the 27 districts of the state. An indifferent police force, a very low conviction rate, contributes to the problem that's rampant in districts like Kokrajhar, Sonitpur, Baksa, Lakhimpur, Dhemaji, Dhubri, Golaghat and Tinsukia.
क्या मेन रीजन क्या क्या है आपको लगता है, चाहे आप तो उतने वक्त से काम कर रही हैं?
ट्रैफिकिंग फर्स्ट एंड मेन तो है पॉवर्टी, बहुत है पॉवर्टी। 1/3 ऑफ पॉपुलेशन बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन यहाँ का तो जो स्टेटस है। गांव एरिया में कुछ नहीं है करने के लिए। मैट्रिक पास हो गया, ठीक है, उसका बाद उसको कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। उसका पेरेंट्स का पास इतना पैसा भी नहीं है कि बाहर गुवाहाटी भेज के कहीं टाउन में भेज के उसको पढ़ाए, तो क्या करेगा वो, लड़का हो या लड़की। तो वो लोग बाहर जाने के लिए सीधा ट्रेन में बाहर चला जाता है।
अभी क्या है कि प्लेसमेंट एजेंसी कौन कहाँ काम कर रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं कि क्लियर पता नहीं होता। उनके ऊपर एक रेगुलेशन ज़रूरी है, जो कि शायद दिल्ली में ऐसा कुछ काम चल रहा है और हमारे यहाँ भी सरकार ने लेबर डिपार्टमेंट को ये काम दिया है कि इसको रेगुलेट करने के लिए इंटरस्टेट माइग्रेंट वर्कमैन एक्ट है, जिसके तहत ये रेगुलेशन बनाए जा सकते हैं। उससे क्या होगा कि जो भी ले जाएगा किसी को किसी काम दिलवाने के लिए, रोज़गार के लिए, तो उसमें उस पर एक जवाबदेही आएगी।
The human trafficking issue found mention in almost all the election manifestos during the state polls. The BJP had promised to tackle the problem in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections as well. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
A day after 2 terror attacks in Srinagar, security forces gunned down 2 militants, including a Jaish-e-Mohammed commander in the Maharaja Bazar area of downtown Srinagar. The man was identified as Saifullah. An operation to nab him was launched on Monday evening following a tip-off about his whereabouts. In other news, Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu announced a list of 13 more cities today to be developed as smart cities. While Lucknow topped the list, Warangal and Dharamsala stood at the 2nd and the 3rd spots. The government plans to develop 100 cities across the country under its Smart City mission by 2020.
13 out of 23 cities qualified to be developed as smart cities in the fast-track competition. These include Lucknow, Warangal, Dharamshala, Chandigarh, Raipur, New Town Kolkata, Bhagalpur, Panji, Port Blair, Imphal, Ranchi, Agartala and Faridabad. All cities improved their smart city plans by over 25% to become eligible.
Of these 23 cities, 9 of them have improved their quality of smart city plans by scoring over 25% marks more than what they scored in the first round of competition. Of these, 7 have been selected. 6 of the 23 cities have improved the quality of smart city plans in the range of 12% to 24%.
The first round had 20 winning cities across 12 states and union territories with a proposed outlay of 50,802 crore rupees. The 13 cities announced today have proposed projects involving 30,229 crore rupees. Each city will get 500 crore from the centre over 5 years, with the respective states coming up with a matching contribution.
These 13 cities selected fast-track competition have proposed a total investment of 30,229 crores. With this, investment proposed by 33 cities under Smart City Plan is now 80,789 crores.
Other cities that couldn't make the grade will get another opportunity to revise their plans and get them evaluated in the second round by June end. Smart cities will ensure a basic infrastructure that will include water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient transport and IT connectivity. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some quick updates from across the country and nationwide. An air ambulance carrying 7 people on board crashed near Najafgarh in Delhi after both its engines failed. The flight was coming in from Patna to Delhi. One of the passengers was injured critically and rushed to the Rautul Aram Memorial Hospital, where his condition is stated to be stable now. The Supreme Court today refused to direct the Maharashtra government to completely cut water supply to distilleries and breweries in the drought-hit regions. A bench of justices P.C. Pant and D.Y. Chandachud pulled up the petitioner for approaching the apex court, saying that the Bombay High Court had already passed an interim order in this regard. The CBI today questioned Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat on a sting operation that allegedly shows him offering bribe in exchange for support in a trust vote. Rawat has denied the allegations. The video was released by the rebel Congress legislators. M.K. Stalin was today elected as the DMK legislature party leader, allowing him to become the leader of the opposition in the Tamil Nadu Assembly. The decision was taken in the presence of the party president and other senior party leaders in Chennai. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan today said that the new CPM-led Democratic Front government in Kerala will be a people's government and function beyond caste, religious and political barriers. He also sought cooperation from people of all walks of life for betterment of the state. We'll have a quick break here. More news follows in a bit. Stay with us.
Mega spectrum auctions of 2016, which we hope to have around July of this year, will put spectrum in enough quantity on the table. 100,000 gram panchayats would be connected with 100 Mbps, which is huge speeds. Next couple of years, India will become a hub for the manufacture of mobile phones. I expect a figure of 500 million mobile phones to be manufactured in India by 2018-19.
Watch Telecom Secretary J.S. Deepak articulate in State of the Economy on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you some more news now. And at the two-day World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul, global leaders discussed ways to tackle the migrant crisis that is playing out in many parts of the world. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, in fact, urged participants to improve the global humanitarian system.
As thousands of stranded migrants were evacuated from the makeshift camp on Greece's northern border with Macedonia, world leaders continued their talks in Istanbul to tackle a broken system that has left hundreds of millions in need of aid. Greek police on Tuesday evacuated more than 1,000 migrants from a makeshift camp on the country's border months after they refused to leave. Many of the migrants are from conflict zones in Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan. They have been living in tents with little food to eat.
I'm staying in Idomeni. No need to go to the camp. I need to stay in Idomeni. Not a problem. Police in Greece need to open the train, no problem.
We hope to see that the rest of this evacuation continues to be a peaceful process and that the new sites are well equipped to meet basic humanitarian standards for services and assistance.
Meanwhile, at the two-day World Humanitarian Summit, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called on the international community to find better solution to the migrant crisis.
I urge you to commit to cutting half the number of internally displaced people by 2030 and to find better long-term solutions for refugees and displaced people based on more equal sharing of responsibilities.
Bu iltica, bu sığınma süreci devam etse dahi varil bombalarından kaçan, büyük bir tehditle karşı karşıya kalan, ister Suriyeli olsun, ister Iraklı olsun, kim olursa olsun, kapımızı hiçbir zaman insanlığa kapamayacağız. Bunu özellikle belirtmek istiyorum.
The UN chief also urged governments, aid groups, private sectors and other stakeholders to take strong action to improve the system. An international framework for refugees and asylum seekers, more legal pathways for migration and combating migrant trafficking was also discussed.
The World Humanitarian Summit in this unique and inclusive format because of the important role that people affected by crisis, civil society, NGOs, and others play in humanitarian action.
The summit aims to mobilize funds for humanitarian aid for the estimated 130 million people in need of it around the world. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A day after the Islamic State took responsibility for the multiple attacks that claimed 150 lives in 2 towns in the Damascus countryside, the Syrian government blamed Turkey, Qatar and Saudi Arabia for the deaths. State-run news agency Sana said that the attacks were planned to undermine the peace talks with the opposition. Meanwhile, Russia has called for a temporary truce even as the UN condemned the attacks.
A day after multiple attacks rocked Syria's coastal region, the Syrian government has put the blame on foreign states. The Syrian government has blamed Qatar, Turkey and Saudi Arabia of being behind the wave of bombings in the coastal cities of Tartus and Jable. Syria's state-run news agency Sana said the attacks constituted a serious escalation and were aimed at derailing the peace efforts. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon too condemned the attacks, taking note of the escalating military activity in many areas in and around Damascus.
The Secretary General also takes note with great concern of the escalating military activity in many parts in and around Damascus. The violence, particularly in Daraya, Aleppo and Idlib, and in the northern countryside of Homs, especially Al-Hula, is causing mounting civilian casualties.
Meanwhile, Russia, a known ally of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, has called for a temporary truce in 2 towns in the Damascus countryside following the multiple attacks. 7 near-simultaneous explosions targeted bus stations, hospitals and other civilian sites in the seaside cities of Jable and Tartus, which until now had been relatively insulated from the country's 5-year civil war. Monday's attacks are significant because Tartus is home to a Russian naval facility and Jable is close to a Russian-operated airbase. Nearly 150 people were killed and at least 200 wounded in the attacks.
Secretary General reiterates his call on all parties to the Syrian conflict to refrain from attacks on the civilian population. Those perpetrating such attacks must be held accountable for their crimes.
The Kremlin said the explosions demonstrate the fragile situation in Syria and underscore the need to press ahead to relaunch peace talks. The civil war in Syria has killed more than 270,000 people and displaced millions over the last 5 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And for the international news updates, here's Global Buzz. Former President of Maldives, Mohammad Nasheed, was today granted asylum by the UK. His lawyer Hassan Latif claimed that Nasheed was given political refugee status, but the British government is yet to comment on it. He was allowed to go to Britain for a spinal cord surgery after a deal brokered by Sri Lanka, India and the UK. "70 Pakistani nationals are headed home from India even as Indians await the clearance to meet their relatives in Pakistan-administered Kashmir from Islamabad. Pakistani nationals urge their government to issue permits to their Indian counterparts. The Poonch-Rawalkot bus service started in 2005 for Indians and Pakistanis who had relatives on both sides of Kashmir. A landslide in a remote jade mining area in Myanmar claimed 11 lives, with many more feared missing. Local officials said about 50 people were searching for jade at the time of the landslide. The jade mining industry in Myanmar is unregulated, while landslides are common. Five days after Egypt Air Flight 804 disappeared en route from Paris to Cairo, conflicting reports are emerging from Greek and Egyptian authorities. Human remains retrieved from the crash site suggest that there was an explosion on board that may have brought down the aircraft in the East Mediterranean, a senior Egyptian forensics official stated today. And finally, let's get you all the latest from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Boxer Sonia Lathar advanced to the semi-finals of the Women's World Boxing Championship in Kazakhstan today. She defeated Poland's Aneta Rygelska 3-0 in the 57-kilogram category. Sonia is the lone Indian boxer left in the tournament after 4 others lost their quarter-final bouts on Tuesday. She will now face Italian Alicia Misiano, who scored a 2-0 triumph over Russian Victoria Kuleshova in her quarter-final bout. The Sports Ministry today said that medal winners from the upcoming Rio Olympic Games will be considered for this year's Khel Ratna and Arjuna Awards. In an official statement, the ministry said that the decision will prevent athletes from waiting a whole year after their medal-winning performances at the Games. Top seeds Andy Murray and Rafael Nadal have advanced to the second round of the French Open. Murray defeated Radek Stepanek in 5 sets to avoid a shock first-round exit as he trailed 2-1 when play was suspended on Monday due to bad light. 9-time champion Rafael Nadal eased through a second round with crushing defeat of Australian Sam Groth. Manchester United sacked manager Louis van Gaal on Monday after an FA Cup triumph failed to make up for the club's inability to qualify for the Champions League. The Dutchman was dismissed 2 days after United's win over Crystal Palace in the Wembley Cup final. Meanwhile, former Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho is widely expected to replace Van Gaal as his successor. FIFA's acting Secretary-General Marcus Katner has been sacked after being accused of paying himself bonuses worth millions of pounds. FIFA said an investigation uncovered breaches of fiduciary responsibilities. The 45-year-old German took over as acting General Secretary after Jerome Valchke was sacked for irregularities. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.